Okay, don't forget to do recording in progress on the Zoom.
Oh, we want to do that too?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Groton Mayor and Council meeting for Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Roll call. Naomi, are you comfortable doing that or no?
Sure.
Here, I can do that.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Mayor Keith Hedrick is here, Deputy Mayor Gwen Depot, Councilor Rashad Carter, Councilor Lisa McCabe, Councilor Christine Piazza, Councilor Stephen Sheffield, and where are we here? Councilor Norris is excused, and City Clerk Edward Jacome is excused. We also have Finance Director Ron Uhas. Okay, we'll move to salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recognition, awards, and memorials. Okay, we will move to receipt of citizens' petitions, comments. Receipt of citizens' petitions is the portion of the council meeting where the council welcomes comments from the citizens. To address the council, please sign a sheet at the front of the table. In the meeting room, when you're recognized, please approach the podium. Clearly state your name and address. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less. And the citizens should, if possible, submit email or written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to the City of Groton. City councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during responses to the citizens' petition portion of the meeting. Is there anyone signed up for citizens' petition? Okay. Representative Thomas, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Ian Thomas, 24 Jefferson Drive, and I am an RTM representative for District 3, although my neighborhood just did recently get redistricted to District 2. So I'm here to speak about the Brantford Manor situation. And on May 10th, 2016, at a Groton Town and City Council meeting, Related Affordable President Matt Finkel and Senior Vice President David Pearson announced that Related Affordable was intending to purchase Brantford Manor. Finkel and Pearson advised the councilors and the public and the property known as Brantford Manor needed substantial renovation and that Related Affordable was committed to investing millions of dollars to renovate the units and undertake major system replacements. Finkel stated that Related Affordable focused on the rehabilitation of subsidized housing developments like Brantford Manor. Finkel promised a dramatic rehabilitation of Brantford Manor. Pearson told councilors and the public that Brantford Manor was in need of substantial renovation and that the mission of Related Affordable was to be a long-term owner, to be a part of the community and to improve the lives of residents and to integrate the property with surrounding communities. Finkel stated that the improvements he intended to make would immeasurably improve the residents' lives, which he said could not be quantified. In connection with the purchase, Finkel and Pearson asked the town to approve, through the Groton Housing Authority, tax-exempt bonds in the amount of $50 million, so that the money could in turn be lent to Related Affordables and his various for-profit companies. Finkel stated that 1/3 of the loan would be used to renovate Brantford Manor, an amount approximating $18.5 million. Despite the promises made to the residents of Brantford Manor, as well as to the public officials, elected representatives, and the citizens of the town and city of Groton, Brantford Manor remains riddled with defects and hazardous conditions. Management continues to ignore legitimate requests for repairs and makes the most superficial fixes which have done nothing to make the residences habitable. The conditions have worsened to the point where they are unsafe, unsanitary, and unlivable. HUD, Housing Urban Development, projects that there are 901 current health and safety violations on the premises. There are 442 units on the premises. That's roughly 2 violations per unit. on average. Since the defendants have owned and managed the property, HUD has in fact downgraded the property's score. The defendants have made living conditions at the property objectively worse since they purchased and started managing it. In spite of this, the defendants will be liable to pay only 47% of the overall tax liability of $911,793, a discount of $480,850. Pursuant to the agreement titled Real Property Tax Incentive Agreement for the Improvement and Operation of a Low-Income Subsidized Renting Housing Complex. To add insult to injury, the defendants never initiated any of the community services they promised, such as a food pantry, career counseling, money management education, and that they agreed to undertake as part of this tax incentive agreement with the city and the town. So I sent an email, I'll forward to the rest of the council. I sent an email out last Friday to the city mayor and to the town manager of Groton, looking for documentation of the investments of the $18.5 million. I'd like to see exactly how it was spent and what items it was spent on.
You have 1 minute left.
So I'll forward that along now, and I look forward to the responses. I think that documentation should be provided to the public, as is public money that they received. They have a duty to disclose that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay. And we'll close the receipt of citizen petitions comments section. Response to citizen petitions comments, council. Deputy Mayor Depot.
I just want to say, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for coming out. I always encourage people to come to our meetings and tell us what, things that they want us to focus on or talk about. I've been involved with the mayor in all the things at Brantford Manor since the first meeting that we got invited to and attended. And I think that the mayor's office is doing a good job of, in the beginning, we were really trying to gather as much information as possible. I think now we've gotten both the fire department and the building department are doing their own inspections. I know I saw a report the other day from the building department that they did, and I know there was a concern with the smoke detectors, and so I know that those things are on the radar of those different departments. So I personally have an interest, there's questions about the contract and all of that. I am concerned, and I think that the mayor's doing a good job of making sure that we don't violate our end of the contract, because whether or not Brantford is holding up their end obviously is one issue, but we want to make sure not to mess up and give them an out on our end necessarily by, moving too fast or overreaching governmentally. And I think that the mayor's office is on top of that in terms of which departments, are getting involved. So just from my end, I just want to say I have full confidence in the mayor that he's got the right people in-house, the right staff involved, and that they're moving forward in the best way possible. And we have been working a lot with the town and just trying to figure out the best way through it to get all of the residents living in a safe and healthy place. And I just, that's all I have.
Any other counselors? Okay, so last week, John Burt and I did tours of approximately 8 units. Those units were selected from the people that filed complaints. Some were mostly around mold. Some were mold and other issues. I compared the information I had on mold from a spreadsheet that I have with the mold complaints that have gone to Ledgelight, and with the mold inspection that Brantford Manor had completed by Atlas. Atlas completed the inspection of all 144 basements, and there's a spreadsheet that I sent to the council of what units have mold and what units don't. So during that tour, We found a couple of active leaks. We found some maintenance that was performed that was not authorized by a permit. So Joe Summers has written up Branford. He sent out the first letter today via email to Branford. He's going to follow it up with a hard copy tomorrow. He also inspected another unit at the request of an attorney because of mold and issues. He did that on Friday. He'll be writing that up tomorrow and sending that out. I will be meeting, so that happened last week. Also last week, there were 2 open houses at Branford Manor, one at 11 o'clock in the morning and one at 5 o'clock at night. The one at 5 o'clock at night, there was a woman, Lauren was there. She is the new coordinator. She's going to be the project manager that is going to oversee the mold rehabilitation, getting people out of their apartments, getting the mold rehabilitated, get it tested, getting people back into their apartments. Right now, everything that had been started by Branford, notice to quits, closing out the basements, everything is on hold. So that is all stopped. We requested that because it was disruptive and some of the notice to quits seemed arbitrary and possibly retaliatory. So they stopped that so they can go through and evaluate that. The basements are of huge concern to the residents. I've been working with Branford. My solution is to replace all the PEX piping. Once you get all that PEX piping completed, then you go in, you inspect the basements, you clear out the basements, you remediate the basements, you test the basements again, then you go in and you seal the basements with a product. They make a rubberized product that seals the basements. You can get it in a variety of colors. My recommendation, get it as a light color, a light blue or a white or something like that. That way, if you do get mold coming back, you can easily see it. And then to turn the basements back over to the residents with basically an amendment that they're going to sign, an addendum rather, that they would sign that basically says these are the activities that are, this is what the basement is for. Here's what you can use the basement for. You can't use the basement for this. And then if you violate this, then you get a notice to quit. Then they sign it. There's a monthly inspection that is performed by management and with the resident present. And then they sign a sheet of paper that says either something was identified and that goes to a work order number, or nothing was identified and they both sign it and we clear that up. At the same time after that evening, I introduced myself to Lauren and said that I would be contacting her so that I could get the specific remediation plan. I want to know the specifics. How are we going to get our arms around it? How do you boundary it? How do you make sure that you get everything and get those done? So that's what we're working on. As far as the request of information that came from Mr. Thomas, there's a lot of information that was done information that was collected during the first couple of years where construction was done. So that information is going to be available. If people want to see it, they can come and see it, but it's not like we're going to set it out on a piece of paper on a table, because there's so much information that's out there. If you want information, I need you to be specific so that we understand what we're looking for, so that we can narrow it down just like we do any other FOIA request. And then there were other questions in the email that will be addressed later. And that's it. Okay, we'll move on to approval of minutes. I'll take a motion to approve a special committee of the whole minutes for June 21st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Take a motion to approve the mayor and council minutes of June 21st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. And I'll take a motion to approve the committee of the whole minutes for June 27th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Communications and reports. Counselor Sheffield.
Just attended the July 4th parade in Groton with the rest of the council and the mayor. It was a wonderful day out, and it was great for all of us to gather together. We haven't done that in a while, and it was a nice, overall nice parade for everyone in Groton. And secondly, I'd like to congratulate Lisa McCabe on her promotion at Electric Boat. And I saw that posting today on LinkedIn, and she's worked hard for it, I know, and she, it's tough, coming to these meetings and stuff like that with all her work and everything, and you definitely deserved it. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Counselor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations, Lisa. I just attended the farmer's market, and we really like one of the vendors that's there is the coffee bean people, so we've been trying all the coffee beans. We really love them. And also to the concert in the park, and also the parade, which we totally enjoy as a family.
Okay. Counselor Carter.
I just agree with everybody, what they said as far with the 4th and all that, but nothing else to add.
Okay. Counselor McCabe.
I just want to make the comment that summer is my favorite time in Groton, especially going to the farmer's market and the concerts in the park. Two great weekly events that are really fabulous, and I'm really proud to be part of the city that provides those two events. So, been doing those.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. On, let's see, on June 29th, I attended the Brantford Community Meeting with the mayor. I just wanted to point out that if residents weren't able to attend that meeting, there is a tenants union or association forming. So if you haven't heard about it, talk to your neighbors about it. If you want to be a part of that, I think, in my opinion, I think that's probably the best way forward, is to have a tenants association or a tenants union that can be at the forefront. So if residents need the power of a group of people, they will have one already on site, and it'll be their neighbors. I think that will be very effective going forward. There's also, the group of ladies that's heading it up right now are very outspoken. So if you're a person that's nervous to speak, they will speak for you. They don't mind doing it. They're definitely, they volunteered to take on the reins and push forward. So I just want to encourage any residents of Brantford, or if you know anyone that lives in Brantford Manor, to reach out to your neighbors and get involved in the community there, because I think that they're going to do some good things, not just in terms of the company, but in their neighborhood. They're interested in becoming, getting to know more of their neighbors well, and making a community there. I also, on Thursday and Saturday, the 30th and the 2nd, I volunteered at the Groton Little League concession stand, which was really fun. And I've never done it before. I didn't realize there was a need for volunteers, or that volunteers are in there. You can also volunteer for concerts in the park. The Little League does too. So you can volunteer to work in the concession stand there as well, which I'm thinking about doing. Yeah, it's just kind of neat to meet a lot of the players, the coaches. You kind of get to chat with everyone for a few minutes, and it's nice to get your face out there and get to know who's doing Little League stuff, because a lot of really dedicated parents and that. So I want to thank Rachel. Now I'm blanking on her last name. What's her last name?
Franco.
Rachel Franco. She's on the town council, but her husband's really involved in the Little League, so she's facilitating all those volunteers. And so yeah, that was really good. I also attended the parade with everyone. We did a better job on candy, but I told the mayor, I think our problem is just there's a lot of people. We need to just buy more next year.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I received an email about the Bailey House, and I was just wondering if maybe in your communications you could give us an update on where we are with the Bailey House.
Okay,
That's all.
all right. So let's start with the Bailey House. We are currently working with some attorneys to get some records filed. And once those records will be filed, then we will be how much of this can I? You're okay with me? All right. So once we get those records filed, the deeds filed, then we will come out with an RFP, and we're gonna put the Mother Bailey House up for sale. It's gonna be a sealed bid. It's gonna be 60 days, right, I think? Or we go 45?
Yeah, we'll be meeting with the real estate committee one last time to finalize the RFP
Okay,
before it goes
so
out.
we'll be meeting with the real estate committee to finalize the RFP, but there will be a closing date. There will not be a minimum bid listed in the RFP. However, the assessed value of the house will be in the RFP. And the only restriction that's gonna be on the house is that you cannot destroy the house, you cannot tear the house down due to the historic value of the house, historic significance of the house. Let's see, what else? Those are the big things, right? Okay. Now, I will be coming to you later. I have taken the wrought iron fence that was there, it was given by Andrew Jackson. We have taken it. I am working with H.R. Hillary and with the Bill Memorial Library, because the Anna Water Bailey chapter of the DAR asked if they could get that donated to the Bill Library to go around the Bill Cemetery, the headstones that are up at the library, to keep children from climbing on them and those kind of things. So there's two things I gotta do. We gotta make sure those two guys those two organizations are on board, and that Joe Delacruz and his crew can take it, sandblast it, galvanize it, and paint it black, and then that the Bill Library, Wendy Connell, and that group can then get somebody to install it. I will then, once we're working on that, I will come to the council to ask the council to gift that fence to the Bill Library, because it is technically an asset. So I don't know if we'll have to declare it as excess but I think we can just gift it. So that will be coming to you at a future meeting. Councilor Carter.
And this, I'm just thinking, so what if what if is this happening before you list it? Is this happening before we list?
We've already, what do you mean? We've already pulled the
Oh,
fence.
we already pulled the fence?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
okay,
fence.
all right.
There was fence pieces in the cellar, in the basement of the house. There are still some fence pieces that were left up, because we looked at taking those as well, but we were concerned, or at least I was concerned, that the process of removing those fence pieces might disturb that retaining wall. And I would rather leave the fence there than risk destroying the retaining wall. So,
I was asking, I was just thinking in means of if somebody was gonna buy the house, like they would, if say they wanted to retain it as the Mother Bailey house and we took the fence off of it, like would they, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I do.
Because it's like if we're keeping the house, like if we're saying that we want to have to keep the house and not knock it down, then why are we taking things from the house? Because that's considered a part of.
That's why I took it before we listed it.
No, but what I'm saying, the whole purpose, and I'm saying the whole purpose for maintaining it. I mean, what's done is done, But I mean, if we're going to, I mean, if we're doing that, then we might want to argue.
Well, there wasn't enough fence to go all the way around. Somehow, there's pieces that are missing. But there are enough pieces that can go around that little section of the not cemetery, where the headstones are up there. And it was requested by the Anna Water Bailey chapter of the DAR to do that. That's the only reason it came to my mind.
Oh, I got you. I'm just, it's fine. I'm just,
There-
I'm just asking
there's-
I'm just like, if we're saying we can't knock down the house, I'm just saying, so why are we?
What we're saying is you
I
can't
gotcha.
knock the house down. We're not saying it has to be restored to historic, a historic replica of what was built back then.
I got you. The question, if I had a question, it wouldn't be towards you, it would be really, I guess, towards the, is it the Friends of Anna Warner? Like,
Yep.
who did, it'd be more towards them. It'd be more like, why are we picking and choosing what to retain and what not to retain? That's what I was, but that's not a question for you, anyway.
Okay, Ron, do you have a? Okay. Counselor Sheffield.
Do we have to do anything as far as repairs to the property prior to, or it's going to be as
It
is?
is as is. The city of Groton Freeman, during their vote, is very clear and do not spend any more money on that house. So we're not spending any more money on that house. And for the people out there that say, well, what took you so long? We followed the process. We sent out an RFP. We got RFPs back. RFPs did not meet the requirements. We got one RFP that was 15 minutes late. And somebody said, well, we got to look at that. The answer is, when was it supposed to be here? And it was 15 minutes late, so we didn't look at it. Now, they put another RFP, put another proposal in. We put the second RFP. So we put the second RFP out, and then we had 3 respondents, and it took us, what, around 2 years? Maybe 2.5?
Yeah, I'm not sure the whole time frame, but it was a
It was
extended
a long
period.
time. It took us we spent a year on the first respondent. And we could not get to an arrangement. And then, again, this is all during COVID and stuff like that too, and then we got to respondent number 2, and then finally we got to respondent number 3. And, in the fall of last year is when we were done, I think.
That sounds about right.
So in the fall of last year, I went back to the real estate committee, so, okay, what do we do now? So we had to go back and figure out what we were gonna do. It was clear I could not put any more money into the house. But how do you then transition to the next phase? And so, what we're doing now is we are going to sell the house. We're gonna take all the restrictions off with the exception of tearing it down. So there's not gonna be a performance bond. There's not gonna be, you have to make everything wood. Everything's gotta match, like it was historically. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So that's why we did what we did. And that's why it took as long as it did. Let me tell you something, I want to get the Mother Bailey house back on the tax rolls probably more than anybody else. So this is how we're gonna get there. Councilor Piazza.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask, is the assessed value, I know it's maybe different historically, that's why I'm asking, so in the assessed value, is that including the wrought iron fence? Is that a
Nope.
value in place in there? No, okay.
Nope, it's the value of the house and of the land.
Right.
So the foundation of the house and of the land.
Right, which I know is typical, but since it's a historical site, I didn't know if that was included in the assessed
I
value
didn't,
or
I
not.
didn't take any of that into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
That address, Mother Bailey? Okay. So the parade was great. When I made my post, former Fire Chief Nick D'Elia reminded me that I forgot to thank the Red Escort. So, Chief, thank you, and the fire department for escorting us during the parade. It was tremendous. You guys are always part of it, and we can always count on you. Thank you. And so going back to something that Deputy Mayor Depot said, so if you're in Branford Manor and you want to join the tenants organization or tenants association or tenants union, whatever they're going to call it, if you go to the Branford Community Forum on Facebook, there are people that you can talk to. Christine Marie is on Facebook, is one of the ones that is posting and getting email addresses and trying to get information so they can go to HUD and things like that. So that's where you want to go. So I strongly encourage you to organize as a group in order to you will have more power together than as individuals. So that's that. And then the last thing I have is I sent an email out today, but don't forget your top 5 and bottom 5 for the ARPA, because we may have a special meeting on the 18th. It depends on where we are. And that's all I have. Let's see, where are we? Ron, do you have anything?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Noemi, do you have anything you want to report? Okay. Committee referrals, are there any committee referrals? Councilor Sheffield?
I'd like to, speaking of the ARPA and the different projects involved, let's say if there was an item in with Park and Rec regarding Washington Park, would that something that we can discuss maybe with Mary Hill and the committee regarding specifically, I guess, the basketball court, along with potentially a playscape, which I didn't see on the list of items that could be utilized with some of that ARPA money, if that's possible, and then bring it to a committee and talk to Mary about a possible,
I would just assume bring her to the committee of the whole and discuss it as a committee of the whole.
okay, if that's, yeah, if that's
My
possible.
concern is, once we start going into subcommittees and everywhere else, we're not gonna get anywhere, right? I might as well just bring it to the committee,
Okay,
and, top 5, bottom 5 is a start. I'm glad you mentioned basketball courts.
you're right.
One of the things that I talked about last year to people is that we're gonna fix our basketball courts, because they get utilized a lot, and we didn't maintain them, bottom line. So something that just started last week was they dug them out and they put a patch in there, so there's a patch, and they tamped it down and they leveled it out so that it's safe, and so that you can play ball and not worry about hitting dandelions and knocking your ball over the place or twisting an ankle. And then we're gonna do both courts, and then we're gonna get paint, and we're gonna paint it so it can be utilized until such time we decide through ARPA, are we gonna do that or not do that? But we need to get that installed, and in the future, we are gonna have a maintenance program so that our courts and other items don't get into this condition.
Okay, so we'll just go committee of the whole and bring department heads to.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
It is going to be a long, tedious process.
Yep,
Hopefully not that long and not that tedious, but that's up to the council. So any other committee referrals? Okay, moving on to new business. Let's see, Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-06-78. Therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Eric Kuchar, 160 Shore Avenue, Groton, Connecticut, as an alternate member, Eastern Point Historic District Commission, term to expire on February 1st, 2023. I so move.
second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Councilor Sheffield?
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-06-79. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Kieran Flannery, 62 Carriage Drive, Lebanon, Connecticut, as a regular member of the Boswell Utilities Commission, term to expire on May 31st, 2025. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Are there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. Councilor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution -22-06-80. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the reappointment of Seymour, Edelman, 38 Bosworth Street, Bosworth, Connecticut, as regular member of the Bosworth Utilities Commission, term to expire April 30th, 2025. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Councilor Carter.
R-22-06-81, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council waive the bid requirement and authorize and approve the contract extended with Honkers LLC, 14 Dimmick Road, Waterford, Connecticut, for service from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, for the continuation of goose control service at city parks for the cost of $600 per week. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Counselor McCabe.
Resolution R-22-6-82. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to issue a purchase order to Electric Power Products, 4240 Army Post Road, Des Moines, Iowa, for an amount not to exceed $205,608.00, including a 30% contingency, to construct 4 new relay panels in support of the Buddington Substation Upgrade Project, to be paid by the transmission lines 1410/1280/400 Buddington Substation fiscal year 2022 bond fund project. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-06-83. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to enter into the following contracts, which have an initial term of 2 years with a 2-year renewal option with a spend not to exceed the contracted amount as budgeted for chemicals listed for the water treatment plant and for chemicals at the wastewater treatment plant to be paid from the funds in the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 and subsequent fiscal year 2023 to 2024 water and wastewater operating budgets. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Whoops. Counselor Sheffield.
Resolution R-22-06-84. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to issue a purchase order to Wesco Distribution Company, 15 Executive Boulevard, Orange, Connecticut, for an amount not to exceed $135,705.00, including a 25% contingency to purchase transformers to be placed in stock to be paid from electric non-bonded capital. I so move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This was discussed during the committee of the whole. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Counselor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution -22-06-85. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to proceed with a purchase not to exceed $315,265.50, including a 10% contingency to Distran Package Substations, LLC, 4725 Highway 28 East, Pineville, Louisiana, for materials needed for the construction of the Buddington Substation Conversion Project, to be paid by the transmission lines 1410/1280/400 Buddington Substation fiscal year 2022 bond fund project. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This was discussed last week, well, at the committee of the whole, and it was approved by the Groton Utilities Commission at a special meeting on Friday. So is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Counselor Carter.
R-22-06-86. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize and approve the city of Groton purchase the consultant services for specialized training related to HB 6004 on disrupting bias in responding to microaggressions, right?
Yep.
Aggressions. Thank you. From KGR Consultant LLC, 1239 Edgell Road, Suite LL, Framingham, Mass. 01701 for an estimated cost of $11,480.00 and an initial contingency of $1,148 for a total authorization not to exceed $12,628.00 to be paid from the funds encumbered in the approval fiscal year 2022 Police Department operating budget. I so move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Chief, could you come up to the front table and address this motion? Or resolution, rather?
Certainly. Okay, what this part is House Bill 6004. We are mandated to do implicit bias training. The academy itself at Post does not have any listed for training this year. There was one listed up at Yukon by this company. That was last month, and we could not get everybody there. We couldn't get anybody there. So our idea is to have them come here, train all our officers in 2 days. There's going to be 3 sessions. We're allowed to have 25 officers in each session, which we don't have 75 officers, so we could branch out to Waterford, New London, if we're able to do that. Bring them in, and anybody else within the municipality that would like to participate in this. This is a company that is connected with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities and Yukon. So I believe it would be to our benefit to get all of our officers trained as soon as possible and take care of this requirement in 6004.
And this was part of, this motion and the next motion were done at the end of the year to encumber end-of-year money for last year, last fiscal year. Deputy Mayor Depot.
I just wanted to say, I think it's a great idea to include other officers. I'm sure they're running into the same problem you are, which is they can't get all their officers to the available training. So I think that's kind of neat. And I feel like it's probably kind of nice all the time to see officers from other municipalities in the area kind of get together once in a while.
Right, and we can work together.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Councilor Sheffield.
How often are the training going to be going on? What type of?
They're required now, so every 3 years when officers go to training, they're gonna have this built into their academy, their recertification training. But we wanna get it done and now, so it's like, well, if we have an issue in 3 months, or if we ever had an issue in next year, they can't say we weren't trained. We're gonna get the training out of the way so we prevent anything happening down the line.
So you'll probably be able to maybe have like 3 officers go at a time, like,
Correct.
rotating?
They'll have to go to recert every 3 years anyway.
Yeah.
So that'll be encumbered in that training.
Okay,
But officers that just went to recert this year won't get it for 3 years.
okay. And my next question, I guess, as far as the motion goes, I think the motion says macro aggressions and the project says microaggressions, so I want to find out,
The
If we-
official one is disrupting bias and responding to micro
it's okay,
aggressions.
so
Yes, sir.
macro
Okay.
is listed in the
Then
motion.
we will do a pen and ink. Anything else?
I'm good on
Oh,
this.
sorry.
Okay, Councilor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. I had the same question as Counselor Sheffield, but my other question was, you were saying it's 25 officers, it's 2 days, 25 officers each day.
Correct.
And so how long is the training during the
It
day?
is 4 hours. It's a half a day. So we have 3 trainings at $3,500 apiece.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the morning session, we'll have an afternoon session, so 4 hours each. And then we'll have a second day for 4 hours in the morning.
I just think personally for the price I'm quickly putting in per officer, I think it's a good price. I mean, compared to some of the seminars I have to go for my nursing CEs.
Yes.
So I think it's a good price.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Counselor McCabe, 87?
Yep, resolution R-22-06-87. Therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize and approve the city of Groton to purchase 8 sets of Morning Pride TAILS structural turnout gear from Municipal Emergency Services, 172 Cross Road, Waterford, Connecticut, 063
We have a motion and a second. Chief? We had Chief Tompkins to come and talk about this. Again, this is the use of end-of-year money, so we get it encumbered.
Yeah, so we're here just because the number's so big. Each set of turnout gear costs about $4,200, and we replace our turnout gear. I've been here before. We put money in to buy new gear for our new firefighters, so we have 2 new firefighters who have not received it yet. And we put money in there to buy at least 3 sets a year, that each firefighter will have 2 sets of gear that's less than 10 years old, which would meet NFPA standard. So they can wash their gear when it gets dirty and use the backup gear while the other gear is being washed and dried. We did actually just revamp our specs. We went to the company we had, which was Globe, Morning Pride, and Fire Decks. We formed a committee and went over all 3 sets of turnout gear, and we actually moved from Globe to Morning Pride. And one of the moves that you will see is that the gear will be black. So part of the reason that at the end of the year I could come up with, I needed the 5, 3 to replace and 2 new people, and through some savings, I'm getting 3 more set so that we can kind of make that jump to black. For a little while, we'll be tan and black. So if you go to a fire call or you see a picture in the paper, we'll be multicolored there until we move over to the traditional black. But I don't know if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments for the chief? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you, chief.
Thank you, Chief.
And then lastly, Deputy Mayor Depot.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-22-07-88. Therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize the city of Groton to issue a purchase order for treated road salt to Morton Salt Incorporated, 444 West Lake Street, Suite 300, Chicago, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $58,000 and no cents, to be paid from funds encumbered in the approved fiscal year 2022 Highway Department operating budget. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ron, do you want to address?
So if you recall, in the spring, late winter, we did an RFP for the roof on the salt shed. So with the process of that, the decision was made to let the salt shed run low until the roof was replaced on it, just in case they had to do something. Well, what happened with that was they ended up getting to the point where the salt season kind of ends, for the lack of a better term, where you can't get the deliveries. So we made a decision to go, we are part of the Capital Region Council of Governments that does procurement, and we tacked on with them and did with their treated salt road bid, which the results came in a few weeks back, and Morton Salt was the low bid from that. So that will allow us, we encumbered the money, we'll get the deliveries here within the next month or so to get ahead for next year, to get this shed filled up, and then we'll be back on schedule with next year's budget as far as refilling and keeping on track. So that was kind of the delay with getting the salt.
Councilor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there any difference in composition from changing from one company to the other, or is it just the pricing?
Because it is treated road salt, they do use different treatments, different companies. It was reviewed by the Highway Department and deemed comparable.
Comparable, such as better, or, and I mean,
I
is there
think
more?
I don't know
is
that they know which one, like as far as better, they just reviewed the product. They just used different coating and treatments on it. The 2 companies, we used East. So we've gone through a couple of different companies with everything that's happened. We're with Driven, then Eastern and Champion, and now this will be with Morton.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'm asking, because I know that a lot of damage is done by what we put on the roads and so forth, and also what's going on in our waterways, so I was just looking at the composition of it, is it, do they have statistics like it's better for the roads, doesn't bring them down as much, it's not as toxic to the waterways, if any of that was addressed at all?
That I'm not aware of, to be very honest with you.
I was just gonna, sorry.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Carter.
I was just gonna make a statement. I don't know if it's appropriate or not appropriate or whatnot, but
Well, then do you wanna make
Well,
a
I do, I want to
statement?
make a statement. I appreciate, because we have the two chiefs here. We have the city, the fire chief, and we have the police chief here. And I mean, I looked at like the things that they presented. Like, all right, well, they were going to approve those, but we're glad that you guys are here, right? And now we have a legit question for the highway department, and we have no highway department representative here, and you can't answer these questions. So my really thing is, I appreciate that you guys came out today, You never know what's gonna be important or if we have a valid question, so, I don't know. I think I'm just speaking as far as the council. If we're gonna have people out here and have the department heads here, we're gonna have to have the department heads here. And if somebody can't make it, we need some type of representation to answer questions like this, so that's all I gotta say.
Okay, Counselor McCabe?
I just have a question, seems how we're getting this sold from Chicago, or a company in Chicago. I thought, I mean, are they literally driving it here from Chicago, or how does that, do you know? That seems like that would be a big cost.
No, they're coming from either Providence or New Haven, one of the terminals there.
All right,
That's just their, a big company, and that's just where their headquarters is.
gotcha, thank you.
Counselor Piazza?
Thank you, Mayor. So with the question, is it possible that we could get answers to that, or some that could be researched and looked at as far as the
Well,
composition?
what is it specifically, your question?
Well, because we're
If you're
doing-
asking for the qualities of the salt, I don't know that they have it. They looked at it and it was an equivalent salt to what they could purchase, that's why they went with that salt, but are you looking for, what specifically would you like to have answered?
Just if the composition, well, supposedly was comparable. So that's why I want to see, was it the better composition, or is it just price? But we are doing a lot of road repairing, road building, doing a lot of things like that, and I know, and then also the waterways, so we look at everything going into the waterways, and that's one of them. So do we have any research or any kind of statistics in reference to Morton salt? Has it been more damaging to the waterways or not so? I would think when we're purchasing salt, when we're looking at those kind of things, that's one of the things we're addressing. Is this composition better for our roads, is it not, over the long run, long haul? And also, for our waterways, is it more damaging or not? I mean, I would think that those would be important factors to decision-making. I would think that those who looked at it, I'm hoping that was part of it. And if we could get,
I'm sure they reviewed the MSDS, actually they don't call it MSDS anymore, MDS, to check on the hazards associated with the salt, but I will get you the answer and get somebody to come brief you at a meeting.
thank you, Mayor.
And just, we do have the spec sheet for it. That was part of what they had to submit to the capital region.
Was
So
that, was that part of the,
No, it wasn't part of, because there was a bunch of information that was part of
Okay.
that bid pack, but I can get that for you. And I believe Morton Salt is still on the state bid as well.
okay, let's see if we can get that information. If we can get it out to an email, we'll do that, but we'll get it verbally so that council can have somebody explain it to them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, motion carries, we are adjourned.